Hi guys, this is Rules back again with another video today. This video is going to be about rotation. This is going to be a three-part series. The next two videos are going to be a top 10 video or top 10 cards that are helped by rotation, followed by a top 10 cards that are hurt by rotation. So that's just going to be talking about cards that are benefiting and losing out from rotation. This video is just going to be a simple introduction to rotation and a basic overview. I want to keep this video short. Most YouTubers made a long video over like hours. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to keep it brief and we'll just go from there. So if you don't know what rotation is, it's simply when Pokemon rotates out a few sets. Most other card games do it. They just remove sets that are old so they don't have to worry about accidentally making a card too broken from a long time ago and making it worth a bunch of money and stuff and making it highly playable when they didn't mean for that to happen. And old cards tend to be worse than newer cards, such as this Charizard. This Charizard would never ever be competitive today. However, things have to go out of format in every card game. Early in Yu-Gi-Oh! There was some stuff that didn't get rotated out, and it pretty much turned into a power creep. And they still haven't completely gotten rid of that, but that's enough about Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's get back to Pokemon. We're going to talk about the sets that are getting rotated out. The first 4 sets of X and Y are getting rotated out. That would be XY Base, Flash Fire, Furious Fists, and Phantom Forces. Cards that are exempt from rotation would be cards that got reprints in later sets, such as Phantom Forces VS Seeker, got a reprint in Roaring Skies, and cards like Maintenance from Furious Fists. I'm sorry. Furious Fists Maintenance got a reprint in Generations. So we're gonna do a basic overview of cards we lost. I've compiled a few cards here. This isn't gonna be a full in-depth analysis, just basically how the format can adapt to losing some cards, such as Trevenant. We're gonna start with him. This card is very, very, very powerful right now with the ability Forest Curse. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play item cards from his or her hand. Originally, this card didn't see too much play at all, and then got a lot of play when Trevenant Break came out and Breakpoint. When Breakpoint came out, that was pretty much the start of something special with Trevenant, honestly. With Wally and the Breakpoint Phantom's attack can't be underestimated either. For one colorless, lets you search out a Trevenant for free on the first turn. It can be no energy if you use Dimension Valley, but we'll talk about more Dimension Valley later. The next card we're losing is Muscle Band. The card that this benefits, or I should say hurts the most, is Evolution decks. Things such as Zoroark, Raichu, stuff like that definitely hurts from the loss of Muscle Band. Whereas basic decks such as Yveltal can adapt to that with things like Fighting Fury Belt. So this definitely hurts Evolution decks more. Megas already have Spirit Links, so definitely just regular evolutions are definitely hurt a lot by the loss of Muscle Band. I feel like you're going to see more uses of things maybe like Giovanni's Scheme, but I'll talk about more about that in another video. The next card we're losing, starting Flash Fire, is Blacksmith. This card was really the saving grace for fire types when fire types weren't really that good. This card allows you to attach 2 fire energy cards from your discard pile to one of your fire type Pokemon. Great energy acceleration paired with Battle Compressor. This card was definitely a deadly combo. It can be used with things such as Mega Houndoom. It got used in Pyroar decks a long time ago. I think, what was that, 2 years ago, when Michael Premawat placed second in Worlds with a Pyroar deck. But it's sad to see Blacksmith go. I actually ran a Pyroar deck, and it's kind of upsetting to see it go. The next card we're losing is Starling Megaphone. This card could spell the doom for removing tools in general. This card just lets you discard all tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon. This card got a good bit of play when Focus Sash became popular, because Focus Sash removes the ability to one-hit KO your opponent. In this format, everything's so fast that one-hit KOs are such a big deal, and having that slowed down by a Focus Sash wasn't really the best thing in the world, so everybody started running Megaphone, at least one copy. So tool removal is going to be a lot harder, and I will definitely elaborate more on that in the next video. Next we have Karina. I actually pulled this full art, so I kind of wanted to showcase it, but it lets you search your deck for a fighting Pokemon and an item card, reveal them, and put them into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. This card is amazing for fighting acceleration. It's pretty much a Skyla and a Trevor mixed together in one supporter. This card was definitely at least 2 in every fighting deck, sometimes even 3 or 4. So it'll be interesting to see how fighting types adapt to this. It's definitely going to be interesting. I would love to see what happens with fighting types, and if they completely drop off the map, I would say that it's definitely because of the loss of this card. The next 3 cards, probably one of the biggest decks to go out of format all at once. Like, this deck becomes nothing because all 3 of your attackers are gone. Just in one swoop, all 3 attackers are gone. And finally, Night March is dead. This is probably the biggest news we've gotten as far as format change, and the biggest storyline. Meaning that slower decks might be able to take over the format now that these 3 pests are gone for good, hopefully. And I'm not as mad about Night March as some people get over it, but it's still kind of nice to see it leave. Finally get some diversity in this game. Another card from Phantom Forces we're losing is Bronzong. This card definitely helped a lot of metal decks. Early on in Phantom Forces, it helped decks like Dialga get popular. Then you saw things like Tyrantrum, the promo, get popular a little bit. Then some decks toward the later of the reign of Bronzong would be things like Genesect. While overall this card doesn't heavily impact the game, it definitely spells somewhat doom for metal decks in general. It's a little sad to see it go. I ran a metal deck as well. I ran Dialga Bronzong a few times. I kept trying to rebuild it whenever I thought something would help it. But yeah, that'll be the end of Bronzong. The next card we're losing is possibly the most impactful. While I said Night March is the biggest loss, this one's probably the most impactful just because Night March would be dead if Battle Compressor was gone anyway. So seeing Battle Compressor and Night March gone at the same time is kind of good, I guess. But Compressor is in pretty much every deck. It just lets you thin out your deck to guarantee, or not guarantee, but maximize your chances of drawing into something you need. Lets you get rid of some tech supporters so you can get them back with a VS Seeker. And it also lets you discard energy for decks like Yveltal or such as Metal even. Ran Battle Compressor. So the format will definitely have to adapt to Battle Compressor. Another card that kind of started the one-hit KO, speed, no diversity metagame that we've turned into. And it definitely hurts to see this card go, and it will definitely be interesting to see how the format adapts to that. The next card we're losing, Dimension Valley. Dimension Valley is a huge loss for Psychic types. That will almost definitely end Psychic types' popularity. Dimension Valley being gone, it was such a huge card with things like Mew from Fate's Collide. It gave decks like Mega Alakazam a little bit of play, but it never really saw huge play, but it at least gave it hope. It's also really unfortunate that we're losing Dimension Valley right as we get Mega Gardevoir, the Psychic Fairy type that would have been so nice to run Dimension Valley with, but sadly that won't be able to happen. Its effect that each Psychic Pokemon's attacks, both yours and your opponent's, cost one colorless less. So now Psychic decks are going to be a little bit slower. That's a common theme with this rotation, is that everything's getting slower, meaning that some slower decks that are a little bit harder to set up and maybe even clunkier at times could definitely be bigger importance-wise. Just because of all we're losing, it might force the format to become a lot slower. Another card we're losing, AZ. This card, it allows you to put one of your Pokemon into your hand and discard all cards attached to it. That removes all damage counters on your Pokemon, on that Pokemon that you pick up. So that really helped with decks that ran huge basics, such as Manectric EX, which we're also losing, Seismitoad EX, which we're losing, and Yveltal EX, which we are not losing, but it's slowly dropping out of play. I feel like we might see a little bit more Yveltal when rotation happens. I actually run Yveltal Gallade. I'm going to do a deck list on it soon, so stay tuned for that. But for now, AZ's gone. Prize Denial was huge. It'll be interesting. It also removes Shaman getting pulled up. It might slightly nerf Shaman and Hoopa. Something to keep an eye out on. I don't think it'll be a huge deal, but definitely something to keep your eye on. The final, or I'm sorry, not the final, next to final card we're going to talk about is Xerosic. Choose a Pokemon tool or special energy card to attach to a Pokemon in play, yours or your opponent's, and discard it. Originally, this card only got play to counter Seismitoad because you couldn't play Enhanced Hammer under the Quaking Punch lock. But then it started getting play just to counter Night March, and also counter Seismitoad, but mainly Night March, to discard the special energies, while also being able to discard tools against maybe Mega decks or something, discard a Spirit Link. Losing Xerosic, I think the biggest importance to losing Xerosic is the fact that we're also losing Starline Megaphone in the same rotation. That means there is no way to remove tools, other than I believe certain Pokemon's attacks, but wasting a Pokemon slot just to use it to remove tools is not a good idea. But the fact that we're losing both of these in the same rotation, I will definitely cover that in my top 10 cards that improved because of the format change. So the final card I'm going to talk about is a card I actually don't have with me. It's Seismitoad EX. Seismitoad EX, for 2 colorless, it does 30 damage, and then your opponent can't play any item cards during his or her next turn. It's one of those really annoying decks that I'm really happy is gone, to be honest. Aqua Box got a lot of play, and I really don't like it. I just don't like Seismitoad. I usually don't hate on decks that win, just because usually I feel like there's some saving grace to them, such as Night March. It's fun to play Night March a little bit, maybe the first couple times you play it. Seismitoad is never fun to play with or against. It's always terrible. It's almost as bad as Wailord in my opinion. But we are losing that card. It's been a huge influence on the game for so long. I'm really glad to see Seismitoad is gone. But that's the last card I have to cover was Seismitoad. But so yeah, we're losing. Just to recap, Seismitoad EX, we got Sterling Megaphones, Erosic, AZ, Dimension Valley, Battle Compressor, Bronzong, the 3 Night Marchers, Karina, Blacksmith, Muscle Band, and Trevenant. Sorry about the cut. I was just going to say that there's actually a comment question of the day. Make sure you answer this. I guess today's comment question of the day is if you like this video and want to see more videos like this, more informative, maybe top 10-ish videos maybe in the future, answer the comment question and you'll be entered for a chance to win a TCGO code. I will hand that out on Twitter. Just direct message me if you won, and I'll give you your code. So, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. I'll be making more Pokemon content this week into next week. Definitely. I've got a Lugia tin on the way. Got some stuff planned. I told you about my top 10s in the beginning of the video. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are a bunch of legends. Bye.